Mum and Dad had me, and at 2 years old they divorced and I went to live with my grandma and my mum. On one particular access visit, my dad came to pick me up and then took me on a small aircraft. He'd got his pilot's licence and his friend had a plane. So we got in the plane and flew over to where he was living, and we had a really nice weekend together, and Dad was really engaged, and I remember having a really good time. I remember him bringing me home after church and sitting me on his knee and giving me a Bible, and it's a Bible that I still have today, a beautifully illustrated children's Bible. We got back in the plane, he took me home in the taxi, and then it was time for him to go, and he turned the corner and went out of sight, and that was the last time I saw my dad. It seemed like almost overnight, I guess, my stepdad changed and he started to become very verbally and sometimes even physically abusive. I remember on one occasion he asked me to clean my room and I said, why should I? And he grabbed me by the back of the head and by the hair and screamed at me and slammed my head into the wall, and, you know, I was 9. As I got older, you know, even the next, I guess, year or so, Mum sank into a clinical depression. She withdrew too. So I'd really had 3 abandonments that were pretty major in a short space of time. And so I began to doubt my ability to be loved, my self-worth, wondering what's wrong with me that these people leave. But I think that the core thing and the biggest thing was knowing that that's not what a dad's supposed to be, but that's what I had, and so blaming myself. So not being able to trust men or trust a father figure, but at the same time hungering for that love and affection, and of course eventually looking for it in all the wrong places. In that time of my teenage years and then leaving school, I had some significant people that really took me under their wing and introduced me to Jesus. But for me to relate to God as a father, you know, I couldn't do that. I would hear other people call their dad daddy. I just about want to vomit. I was just thinking, how can you do that? Like, you're an adult. How can you sort of have that childlike intimacy? And so for me, I had to relate to God as a friend. And as time went on, when I had really difficult times in my life, like losing my son halfway through my pregnancy, you know, holding a little baby in my hand and knowing that I would never see him breathe, and crying out to God and saying, it's okay for you, God, because your son died, but you knew you would have him back again. You knew he was going to live again and be raised from the dead. And the Holy Spirit spoke to me and said, but so do you. And my heart was so comforted by that, because I thought, yeah, that's true. You love us so much that it's not your will that we should die or go through any of this pain. And little by little, experiences like that where God just revealed himself, answered prayer, gave me the Bible with all this truth and answers about life and death and circumstantial stuff. My heart began to be able to trust him and to fall in love with him and be able to call him Father. For me, relating to God as a father was revolutionary to my prayer life, because I no longer had to just come with this stiff, get on my knees and you know, shudder that I'm in the presence of God, or be as, I don't know, formal about stuff. As I related to God as a father, I could just pour out my heart and have him listen. And so that whole ability to be able to connect with God in a real way and just be myself and know that he was listening and he cared, it actually makes me want to crave time with him. It's not something that I feel like I have to do. It was powerful. It still is powerful.